is the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows, everyone. My name is Nomsa Clara Mungwe. If it is your first time today at Ngozi Talk Shows, please subscribe to our channel. At Ngozi Talk Shows, we talk about all subjects from all walks of life. With me today, I have Amanda Cattell, Dr. Biget, and Carol Ann. Amanda, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Good morning from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and good afternoon to you all. My name is Amanda Cattell. I am a teacher, an author, and an illustrator, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves because we are all infinitely creative.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Over to you, Dr. Biget. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Numsa, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let me ask you, do you have, excuse me, do you have any routine, any habit that perhaps at the beginning of this year, perhaps it's been longer, perhaps it's sooner than that you're like, you know what, this is really something I want to change. Be something where you eat a lot of potato chips. Nothing against potato chips. Or you doing something else where you tend to sleep really, really late at night, and then in the morning you find yourself not having the energy to go through the day, or something else is. If you do, then we're going to share some tips with you on how to change your habits, how to shift your paradigms. So listen on, and together we'll help you create the habits you want and the life that you absolutely love every moment. And this is Dr. Burjit Tan, and I'm a grief transformation and life success specialist, and here to help you do just what it is that the key thing that will help you change one thing at a time to create what you love.
Thank you so much, Dr. Biget. Over to you, Carol Ann. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Lovely. Thank you, Nomsa. And good morning from London, UK. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support women to become more productive with their writing, to move through those pauses, those silences, that hesitation of knowing what to do next or where to start. So they become more productive, they get started, and they get their story written. More importantly, what they also do is they experience free-flowing writing. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. So I'm Carol Ann, the writing facilitator, helping you to unlock the writer within.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So our topic today is how to shift your paradigm. We all want to basically cultivate our thoughts and to influence our paradigm shifts. But some people know how to do it, some people they don't. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Amanda. You chose this topic. Please, can you explain to our audience why you chose this topic, please, and what it means to you? Or are you doing something that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, so I started taking this course in February of this year, and it's through the Bob Proctor Institute, and it's about thinking into results. And so one of the things that Bob Proctor talks about a whole bunch is that if you want to change your life, you have to shift your paradigms, and you have to start becoming aware of your paradigms and what it is that's causing you to not achieve what it is that you want to achieve. And I just find it so interesting. Like, one of my things is that I'm not very good at getting up early. So I've been like trying to get up earlier and like replacing my like habits of not getting up early so that I can work a little bit before I go to work, so that I can then achieve the things that I want to achieve, and have a little bit more time in the day to work. And so Bob talked about he was always in the office by 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh, that is a dreadful time. So I've been like, okay, I'm gonna set my alarm for 6, which it's already past 6 here, but I get up earlier on Tuesdays. But I set my alarm for 6, and then I listen to my meditation. And whereas before I would like set my alarm for like 6:45, so I literally like had to get out of bed at that point. But now I try to get up by and like be ready for work by 7, so that I can work at home for about an hour, and then I go to work at 8. And so it's just giving me that extra hour of time to focus on my goals, because that's something that I would like I just like rush out the door and be rushed all the time. But I also noticed that in my daughter, that she has that same paradigm of like, but she also is like me, where I'll be like, oh, I'm ready. Oh, I'll go do this. Oh, I'll go do this. Oh, now I'm 5 minutes late. And so that's something, it's just something to become aware of. And so Dr. Bigot talked a little bit about like, if one of your paradigms is eating, and you're always eating junk food, like what could you replace it with? So could you replace it with a fruit, or could you replace it with some vegetables that you really love? And just shifting that paradigm, because in order to like change a paradigm, we have to not just stop it, but we have to replace it with something else. And so and that's what they talk about too, is because if you just stop it, you'll just attract another negative paradigm that you don't want. So it's like with alcoholics, or somebody who has an addiction problem, if they quit the one thing, they're just going to find another addictive habit, and that cycle will continue, just with a different drug, or a different alcohol or something, that they'll just replace that paradigm until they really become aware of it and replace it with something positive. And so that's some of the work that I've been doing, and the work that I've been researching, and that's why I picked the topic for today.
I love what you're saying about not get very good at getting up early. I'm not either, and I'm very aware of it's something that I would benefit from, because I've really slipped into a habit of just turning over, not even setting an alarm clock early, because I know I'm not going to get up. But even when I do set the alarm, even if it's 8:30, 9 o'clock, there are some times where I just still lay there and go, oh, I still can't get up. So when you say about Bob going into the office at 5 o'clock, it's like, oh God, that thought, it's like, oh, that cringes me inside. And yet I know that there's a part of me that has become aware of this habit of not getting up, and not wanting to get up. And I think it's because I've slipped into it over the years, because I always had to get up for school. I always had to get up when I was teaching, as much as I hated it. And weekends I would lie in as much as I could. And it was always an effort to get up early, to go to work. And I think when I became ill those years ago, and it just sort of slipped into, I could have my own time, I could just sleep in, I could go to bed late, and the day just sort of changed around completely. And I haven't really gotten out of that. But interestingly enough, a few months ago, what I realized when I started thinking, I would like to get up earlier, because I could get so much more done in the day, because the day just seems to go. And then what I realized was, there was this thought in my head. I used to get up, even if I was awake at 7, I would sit there, and it was like, it's too early, go back to bed. There was this pull to go back to bed. And I realized there was some programming from being as a child, where we were told, go back to bed, it's too early. And so that was stuck in me. And I shifted that, and that's not there anymore. But what I'm now aware of is this thought of, well, I don't know what to do, which is a complete lie. It's because I have got things to do, But somehow I have that thought, I don't know what to do. I just go back to bed. So there's something else for me to now shift. And I love what you said, Amanda, about replacing it. And I think that's where what I haven't fully done is to replace it and create an affirmation around that, because it is being able to create affirmations and bring it into the positive and identify as this is something I am doing and what it is I'm doing, you know. So I just realized that actually when you said about if we don't replace it, it just gets replaced with another bad habit. And many years ago, I wanted to stop watching soaps on TV because I could feel that energy drain. And I just thought, oh, I've had enough of this. I've had enough. But I was pulled into it. Every time I was like, I have to watch this. I have to watch this. And I just kept on reinforcing, I want to shift away from this. I want to stop watching this. And then suddenly I just found myself not watching it anymore. I wasn't even pulled to watch it. But what I have been pulled to watch are murder mysteries. And even now I can feel myself, even some really old ones that I'm watching at the moment. And so I've realized there's still that pull to watch the TV that I want to break. And even though I know there are other things I could create as a habit, there's a part of me goes, oh, no, go watch the TV. So I think that, again, I'm aware of that, and it's just shifting that habit and write something different, create it in a different way that maybe I could. I've got books that I want to read, but there's something about sitting and reading rather than watching the telly. The telly still has the bigger pull. Even though I used to be an avid reader as a child, I seem to have lost that along the way. So it is just, as you say, Amanda, just I need to replace it. What are your thoughts, Dr. Brigitte?
I love that, Carol and Amanda, that you need to replace it. I would agree with that, but with the audience here, I would invite you. I would invite you to first of all start with to say what is really a paradigm. A paradigm is a very famous word nowadays in the personal development area. Everybody talking about shifting a paradigm and good paradigm and a bad and the paradigm and the paradigm and the paradigm. And practically every other coach, personal development coach, talk about we got to change your paradigm, we got to shift your paradigm, something about paradigm, so much so like it's almost like a dirty word or something, quoting Bob Proctor to mention the late Bob Proctor that Amanda and mentions. And so what is paradigm? Because until we have an understanding about something, as Bob says, it's really challenging to grasp our mind around it. Just like that's why he has the stick person, so we could understand our mind. So what really is a paradigm? So paradigm, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is basically a pattern. It's a pattern. Now, Bob Proctor, in terms of for your personal development, for your growth, Bob Proctor defined it a little bit further for us, such that it's something that for us easy to understand. And paradigm is a multitude of habits that guides every moves you make. So it's not the moves itself, but the habit, the pattern of the paradigm is a set of habit, a set of pattern that you have in you that make you not waking up certain time, going to bed some other time, or even say, I need to sleep this much time, or I need to eat this. Some people might have a paradigm of exercising an hour and a half a day, and so many of us says that, oh God, paradigm, as if it's not a good thing. That paradigm by itself is not good or bad. This is also quoting the late Bob Proctor. Paradigms are not good or bad. It is just it is. Now that you have paradigms that serving you. If you drive, you've been driving for a while. You have a paradigm. Have you ever done this? Have you ever go to the car and you're like, I'm gonna go to the store, and you jump in the car, you start driving to the store. It takes you very little to think about anything. You make it to the store safely. Or perhaps you want to wake up in the morning and brush your teeth and get ready. And have you ever noticed this? You just get out of your bed. Perhaps you do this. Sometimes some people are a little different, but many people, they get out of the bed, get out of the bedroom, and they go through the whole morning routine. But are you thinking right now, this morning, if you're already out of bed, as you do every single move that you do this morning, were you sitting there saying, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm grateful about brushing my teeth. I'm taking a shower. I'm grateful about the water. I am putting on clothes. How grateful I am to have my clothes. Most likely you just go through the routine and your mind was somewhere else. Perhaps it is, what's in the schedule today? Or, my goodness, I didn't do this yesterday. That's habit. That's pattern. So what can you do? There are some pattern. And for you, perhaps it doesn't really matter because that doesn't bother you. For some of us, let's say you want to practice mindfulness, you might say, well, okay, then that is a pattern and I want to change it. So the first thing that we want to understand about paradigm is to know what it is. The second, and to know what your paradigm is. But even more importantly, if you want to change your paradigm, if you even need to change your paradigm, then you might want to say why. Know what it is, and then know what your why is. To me, the most important thing, because if your why is not strong enough, because if your why, say Carol Ann's mentioned, I like to read some book, but perhaps it's because you just like to read some book instead of, I got to pass this exam because it's the exam of my life to read, and therefore I got to read this book. If your why is that strong, if your why is so passionate, then you're going to do it. But if you just, because this is Bob Proctor has this habit, and therefore I want to do that, and he's all of his chief consultant do this, then I want to do that. It might not be a strong enough why. On the other hand, if the why, if life changing, this is 5 a.m. here in Western United States in Los Angeles, and I didn't used to wake up at 5 a.m. I used to wake up around 7 in the morning. And at some point, my why was strong enough for me, it is, I feel called to write my book. I feel called to bring my message beyond the scope of my hospital, being a doctor. And my why was strong enough. I learned to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. And so from 7 to 3:30. And for some people, they were like, oh my God. And then the other part of the why is my why is strong enough to be able to wake up fresh and alert. And that's the next part of your changing the paradigm. And then I'm going to turn this back to Numsa. But the next is fresh and alert, regardless of how many hours I have slept. Do you care to guess how many hours I have slept last night? 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours. I went to bed at close to 1:30. I woke up this morning at 4:30 in the morning. And how would I be so alert and fresh? Well, one would be Bob Proctor says he could sleep at many hours. And the same thing with his chief, his number one consultant, Kim Calvert. And so do I. We just say, we decide that we're going to be fresh and alert when we wake up at this time before the alarm clock ring. And when your why is strong enough and your decision, which is the next step in your shifting your paradigm strong enough, then you will be able to do it actually very easily because your body just embrace them. And even if you only have 3 hours and it's 4:30 in the morning, you wake up like that and fresh and alert. What about you, Numsa? What decisions have you made in terms of that something you might want to shift recently?
The decisions that I've made that I wanted to shift recently, what can I say? What can I say? I think it is there's so many decisions that I've made. Okay. Um, what can I say that makes sense to people? I'm always making decisions. I'm always changing things. For me, basically in my life, if I'm not happy with something, I change it. That's how I live my life. If I'm not happy with something, I will have to look at the things that what makes me be where I am. And if I can see that it's like getting up in the morning myself, I don't have a problem with getting up in the morning. Like Amanda and Carol Ann were saying that they struggle getting up in the morning. It's a struggle for the first time. For me, basically, my father used to wake me up at 4, went from the age of 9, 10, until basically even when I was at home. And that's the time that he would get me up in the morning. And when we get up in the morning, it's a family chat. He will just prepare the kitchen and prepare the water, and the family chat. We'll have a chat, or I'll go, no bath, he will go and get himself ready and wake me up, and we'll have a chat, father and daughter, the things that are troubling me, and we just have that bonding, nothing heavy, nothing serious. And then I go back to sleep before I go back to school. Or maybe I go back to school at 6 and then get up when I'm going to school, or maybe it's weekend, I will not go back to sleep. Or sometimes if they are going farming, they wake up at 2 a.m. So if they wake up at 2 a.m., that means I'm up. So it's something that I was raised with, that my family gets up in the morning. So if I get up at 2 a.m. when they're up, it doesn't mean I'm going to go back to sleep. I won't go back to sleep, I'll stay there. So that becomes something that I got used to it. And also, I was raised in Africa. There's a thing that they say, if you want to do something, you will do it without any excuse. So if I want to get up in the morning, like Dr. Bigot says, it doesn't matter how many hours I went to sleep. I had to look at my body. I don't look at somebody else that they get up this time. For me, if I go to bed at 12 or I go back to bed at 1, I make sure that I have 5 hours sleep. So as soon as I have that 5 hours sleep, I wake up. And I have the lazy times every now and then where I have a lie-in, maybe once a month or once after 2 months or 3 months. But that's what I do. And replacing bad habit with good ones. For me, basically, if I work on a habit, if there is a bad habit that I have, I don't replace it with a good one. I get rid of it. I have to pray to get rid of that habit that is within me, and I have to ask God to crucify my flesh so I get rid of that habit. If I have to fast for 10 days or 20 days for me to actually get rid of, when I'm doing it and focusing it, when I'm doing it, getting rid of that better habit, it means I'm acknowledging the things that I'm doing wrong, and I do not want to replace it, but I want it to leave so I can sit down and plan and set new goals. So that means I'm replacing it, but I have to get rid of it first. And I have to feel it in my body, in my spirit, that it is gone. If I have to vomit and pray until I vomit until that habit is gone, it's like you're breaking the chains. So that's what I do it. So you have to, for me, basically, when you're doing a paradigm shift, it's not about looking at other people and saying, okay, I'm going to do what somebody is doing here. You know your body, like Carol Anna was saying, and Amanda, they struggle. And Dr. Bigot with the clock, she is basically just like that. She hasn't got problem getting up in the morning. It's like myself. I don't have a problem getting up in the morning. So you have to look at your body and look at the things when you set your goals. What do you want to shift? And then you have to you have to do things that makes you uncomfortable. You can't just do things and I'm gonna replace this because it's an easy way out. It's got to be something that is gonna make you uncomfortable if you want to change it. And your character, everything has to align with what you're doing, because you can't say, I'm going to cultivate this paradigm shift, and then your character is not what you want. So you have to look at, it's all about going deep and making changes, that long-term changes, like what Dr. Digero was saying, that you've got to understand what is paradigm shift in order for you to actually do it properly and without comparing yourself. We live in a world of people where they go around comparing their lives with other people. So you got to do it how it suits you, because we are different. Even in the Bible, Jesus, he has his own character. He doesn't say you got to behave like Jesus in order for you to come to church or to do anything. So the character, it says, come as you are. So we've got to understand the paradigm shift and how it works, and become that, whatever you want to shift in your life. Over to you, Amanda.
I like what Caroline was saying, is that pull to watch the TV, because that's something that, like, when I get into like more of a, I'm just tired and I don't have energy, I'll go and I'll watch TV too. And I was finding that, especially through the COVID stuff, I just like binge watch some Netflix shows, and I was like, this is like not me. This is not, usually I'm like up and busy and I don't even turn the TV on, or it became my like tired or like thing to just do.
Do you guys see messages when someone is typing?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay. I can see the sign where it says that there is a message, but when I click on it, I can't see the comments.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Okay.
So what I've shifted is, and I was thinking about like, how did I always achieve these other things before? Because I had like done all these things, and I was like, oh, I would just like have the TV on in the background and I would still do them. And like, I just have like a mindless show on, and then I would do my work. So I was like, I just have to like give myself a few minutes to rest. So maybe I'll watch like one half-hour show or 1 45-minute show to like have some like just like time. And then it's like, okay, I can't watch multiple shows for hours and hours, because that's not what I want to do. But I would get stuck in that, like, oh, I'm too tired to do anything else. So I'm like, I've allowed myself to have some downtime and watch 1 or 2 shows, and then I get my work and I start working, and I might even just leave it on in the background, but I still am working at the same time. So I'll draw on my iPad while the TV's on in the background or something, just to shift that little bit to get out of that funk. And then once I've got out of that funk, I haven't even turned the TV on in a really long time. And that's how I've shifted my paradigm in that respect. And then in the morning one, I just shifted it from, I set my alarm earlier, but I like to lay in bed and be like, it takes me a while to wake up. So I just shifted it from like setting the alarm and then, oh, hitting snooze again, and oh, hitting snooze again, to, okay, the alarm goes off, I put on this meditation, I listen to the meditation, and then the alarm goes off again, and then I get up when the alarm goes off again. So I have that just like rest time in my bed, because it's something that I know that I really enjoy, is just that like curl up with my cat and like let her just have some downtime in the bed with me. And it's something that has allowed me to be more productive, but also like not just stop something cold and be like, okay, I'm getting up every day at 6 a.m. That's not happening. But it might eventually. I might eventually be able to, but just to do a tiny shift and to be more productive, I've shifted those things. And I think that's something that's really important, is like, what's the easiest way you can shift just a little bit, so that once you've shifted that part, then what could you do to shift something else just a little bit? And you'll find that eventually getting up early is not as big of a deal. And like Dr. Bridget said, maybe getting 3 hours of sleep eventually will work for you. I always question that, like when I listen to the Bob Proctor speeches, he says that he's in the office at 5 a.m. And I was like, but what time do you go to bed? Because and another thing that I shifted was, like when my daughter was young, I would put her to bed and then I would come to bed and I would work in bed. But as she got older, I was finding that I couldn't go to bed as early so that I wouldn't get any work done, and I was not getting any of my projects done because I was laying with her, and then I wouldn't get to my bed till 10, and then by the time I got it was like I was just exhausted. So now I've shifted it from, okay, you are in bed at 9. I am leaving your bed at 9:30, and from 9:30 till 11:30 is my time to work. And so I've just shifted that little bit. Whereas before I was like laying with her like till 10 sometimes, and then I'd just be too tired and not motivated. But if I can get back into my room by 9:30, then I'm like totally motivated to work till about 11:30, and then I can do that. But it was just like shifting those little things just a little bit. And that's something that I found is helping me to get to my goals. And I think, how can I just shift things a little bit to then, and then once I've shifted that a little bit, how can I shift it a little bit more? Because getting up early is still gonna be a challenge for me because I like my bed and I like to sleep in, but having that shift, because one of the things that Bob talks about too is he's like, what if you just got to work half an hour earlier and you listen to these meditations for half an hour? And I'm like, well, I don't even have to get out of bed to listen to that meditation for half an hour. I'll just set my alarm half an hour earlier and I'll lay in bed and listen to the meditation rather than like do something that's really gonna like force me to do something that I don't want to do, but still get the same results, right? So he's saying like, you need to get up earlier and get to work by this time so that you can listen to this. And I'm like, but I can listen to it right in my house and I don't even have to leave. And so even like getting to work at an hour earlier, I'm like, well, or I could just be ready an hour earlier and then I could work from home for an hour earlier on my projects, and then I can go to work and have complete focus at work and have those separate. So but you just have to do what works for you, right? And if you want to shift something, say you want to have an extra hour in the morning and an extra hour or two in the evening, then you just have to shift things just a little bit, and that time you'll be amazed at how much time you have and how much you can accomplish in that time.
Absolutely. And I agree with you there. It's about doing what works for you. And it's about not making it wrong. It's actually acknowledging what you do, what are the habits you've got and what's driving you. And by acknowledging it and waking up to it, you can then decide, well, actually, does this serve me in the best possible way? And it's about asking that question. It's not about making it right or wrong. So if it served you at one point, and then it's becoming to that point where actually that doesn't serve me anymore, or it doesn't work for me in the same way anymore. So like you were saying, Amanda, you weren't able to put your daughter to bed and have that time for yourself. So you have to adapt. You have to look at what the situation is and be flexible and create what works for you. Because ultimately, what is the outcome that you want from this? So the key is actually recognizing that something isn't working for you and then doing something about it to change that. And it is about making small changes. You don't need to make huge changes, because actually small changes over time become big changes. And it is those small changes consistently done are what shifts things. That I remember, many years ago, I didn't really understand the word paradigm. It was just a word I'd heard, and I didn't fully understand it. I'm beginning to understand it more now. But there was something that shifted for me was when I was doing my NLP training. And the person that I was training with used to speak really fast, really quickly. His thought processes were very quick. And there were times when I'd be going, oh, can you slow down, please? Can you slow down? I just, my brain literally would explode because I couldn't process it that quick. And he actually said to me, he said, well, if you speed up your thinking, I'll slow down my speaking. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But I actually took the challenge and became aware of the fact that actually, if there is somebody in my life and he's showing me that this is possible to think that quickly, speak that quickly, then maybe it is within me to do. And so I did work on myself, and I was able to speed up my thinking, and I'm able to process much more quickly, and words come more quickly than they did. My speaking is much more fluent than it used to be. It's not so hesitant as it used to be. And I can follow somebody who is speaking very quickly much more easily. There are times when if it goes on for too long, I go, oh, hang on, my brain's just gone ping. too much. And can you slow down? But I've also become aware of when I'm waiting for the breath, and somebody that's talking really quickly, they don't even take a pause for a breath. And I can feel myself holding my breath. And so I'm working with that so that I can listen to them and listen to their pauses, their breaths. Because even though I've made a request, can you slow down? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The only person I can change is myself. And so I will work on myself such that my own brain processing speed can actually follow. My listening, I can hear for the different nuances, the breath, the pause that I couldn't hear before. So it's recognizing that actually you can shift things yourself. So it's recognizing the pattern that you have and that you've got into, and that you can shift it. But it is just making that conscious effort to do something about it. And it is about stepping into doing the uncomfortable. As you said, Nomsa, it's uncomfortable. You want to do something different. It is uncomfortable because it's new. It's not what you're used to. What you're used to is comfortable. It's in your comfort zone, and that's what makes it easy, because your brain just fires on that quickly. Doesn't have to do much processing. Whereas if you make it do a little bit of work, it's going, oh. The more you actually do it in that uncomfortableness, it does become comfortable because it becomes the norm. And what used to be a habit then becomes, it doesn't take over. Is it something, paradigm shift is when one paradigm loses its influence and another takes over. So that's what a paradigm shift is, because it is about that power, what's having that influence over you. So yeah, what else could you shift? And again, it's down to your mindset. It's having that thought that, well, actually this is possible, because that's what shifted my mindset from, well, I'll never be able to speak as quickly as he could, to actually finding that I could listen to him, I could follow, and I could start speaking more quickly. And so mindset, what are your thoughts around it? So, Dr. Brigitte, what's your thought here?
Oh, I love a few things that you and Numsa says and Amanda says as well. And one is your implications on perception. And a lot of times it is perceptions, isn't it? So it's uncomfortable to, it's perceptions. First of all, like we call this here, if you are in America right now, you call this early in the morning. And for some people, it's early in the morning. When I first starting to decide, when I decided surfing me to be able to wake up at any time and go to sleep at any time, and you asked this earlier, and I said I decided to let go uh, um, of not being attached to a clock. I remember a time vividly. This was quite a few years back. I got in this. I was in the United States, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is early, and this happened very shortly after I came back from Egypt. And it was quite a thing to me to suddenly realize, you know what? This would have been 2 in the afternoon in Egypt, in Cairo, where I was just at literally less than 24 hours ago. So what is time? Time is an illusion. It might be here it is 5:45 in the morning in England. If you are in England, like where Noomsa is, it's in the afternoon, and in Hong Kong, it's in the evening. So I just started to decide to perceive things differently. Instead of saying it's so early, it's so early, it's so early, I simply said, it's wherever I want to decide that whatever it is. And it could be, I could pretend that I'm here, I'm in the Western United States. I could pretend this is Eastern United States. My significant other work with companies all over the world. Even back in the day, I do too now. And he says, you know what? I decide to live by the New York time, even though he live in, which is Eastern time, even though he live in Los Angeles, and which is the Western time. So he wake up also at 3:30 in the morning. He says, well, it's in New York at 6:30 in the morning. It's depend on how I'm going to perceive it. And so I wake up, I decide to live by New York time, and I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, popping like that. And so you got to find what work for you, like Amanda and Numsa and Caroline says. Again, you want to know your why, and that will tell you what worked for you. And everybody's different. Some of us change things, shift things a little bit at a time, like what worked for Numsa seemingly, and what for me is I can sleep whatever amount of time. I do allow myself to sleep in. I sleep until typically around 7 o'clock in the morning to sleep in once a week. I make a point in that because I believe in the flow of rhythm. So there's an up and a down and an up and a down. So I'm not like that's all the way. And for me, everybody different, right? For me, what feels great is to sleep 5 to 5.5 hours every night. Some nights I sleep slightly more, some nights a little bit less. And that's also something that's a rhythm. Some people, your body might really actually requires you to sleep 6.5 or 7 hours. A lot of time, I couldn't remember if it's Bob Proctor or Les Brown or Brian Tracy or Mary Morrissey, all of whom wake up at some magnificently early in the morning. Says that if you sleep, if your body actually needs. If you believe you need to sleep more than 7.5 hours, that might be something that you learn from somebody else instead of just truly your body. But everybody's different, and the same thing. Some people believe in shift and do better with shifting things differently, but some people actually find that cause them to be more likely to go back to the old familiar. If you, Amanda says, still have the TV on and then start doing other things. Some people do find that work. or wake up a little bit early and a little bit early in the morning. And some people would actually say, for myself, actually the same thing. If I want to do something, I do it and cut like that. And I say the same thing. I used to drink 3 big cups of coffee a day, and this was a long time ago. One day I said, you know what? I am no longer going to be drinking this. It's no longer serving me. And at some point, it was serving me when I was in residency in medical training, but it's no longer serving me. And then just like that, same thing with the waking up. I go, one day, stop completely. And to me personally, it works better than doing it little by little, because it's less likely to draw me to the pull of the familiar. So you want to find what works for you. Like Numsa says, she does prayer. What is prayer? Prayer is really connecting with the inner inside of you, the higher intelligence in you. And like Troward says, Thomas Troward, the author from the UK back in the day, there is an eternal spring of life in you, seeking to comfort every moment. There is a power in you connected to your higher self. And so you want to tap into that and see what works for you. And I would so agree with Carolina. You say that you are the only person that you can change, and you are the only one who can change you. And at the same times, I love how you many of you shares the pull of the familiar, the pull to sleep in again, and will continue to do this and that, because the pull of the familiar, Mary Morrissey always use an analogy. The pull of the familiar is like the undercurrent tides. When you go to the beach on the oceans, there's the undercurrent that can pull you in. It's that strong. It's like the gravity that want to pull you back to the comfortable. And so what you want is for you to actually to be able to have, yes, you are the only one that can change things, but you don't have to do it alone. It is very, very, very extremely beneficial and important when you really want to change things. Like Carol Ann, you have this person that says, this is possible. Come on, let's do it. Allow yourself some support. Accountability coach, not accountability partner. There's a difference between that. Accountability partners are most likely somebody that, like, let's say you have a buddy that says, okay, you know what, go to the gym, go to the gym, or wake up early. Well, if the person's not already showing the result that you want and already know how to tweak things left and right, most likely both of you might run into a barrier, like a wall sometimes. Accountability coach who has been ahead of you, who have the result that you have. Now, the persons might be somebody you already know in your circle, might be from somebody, one of us in here, might be somebody else, might be from somebody from the Bob Proctor Institute or Brave Thinking Institute with Mother Morrissey, right? But any of those will be have a support. Just like if you are out in the oceans and you are not a strong swimmer yet, you're gonna get pulled by the undertow, unless you have somebody there and say, okay, you know what, I got you, and every time you're gonna get drowned, we're gonna keep going this way, I'm gonna keep going that way. And so I would say that this find know what's your habit, find your why, decide and what it is, and tune in what's work best for you, and then allow yourself some support. You'll have a lot more success, a lot faster, and a lot of easier, and usually with a lot more fun too. What about you, Numsa? What support have you allowed in your life?
Um, I agree with you, Dr. Biget, basically, when you say, for me, basically, I allow support in every area of my life. If I can't do something, or if I feel that I need support, you are my accountability partner. And I have coaches that help me. I don't have just one business coach, by the way. I have three, actually, three business coach. Des is the main one, and the other ones is for me when when I need something, like if I want them to see the eyes that What I don't see as well, what Daisy doesn't see, is where I basically ask for help. And Amanda, you were saying you have to find what works for you. You say you lie in bed. I get up as well. When I get up, it does mean I go have a shower. I work in bed as well. By the time it is 8 o'clock, I've done 2 hours work or 3 hours work. And Carol Ann as well, you mentioned that small changes. Small changes are baby step, and some people believe that if you want to shift things, you have to start big, but small steps. And also, you said don't make it wrong. And I agree with you that when you are doing something, you've got to enjoy it. If there's no enjoyment and you're blaming yourself and you're bruising yourself, what's the fun? What's the point of changing your habit if you're not going to enjoy it? It's got to be something that brings joy to you, like Dr. Biget. You always talk about things that brings joy. What are you grateful of? And things like that. And the coach as well. It is very, very important to actually be with someone that is going to help you. And having said that, I spend my weekend having a really, really lazy weekend because I'm going to start working with someone. But the way I see it, it does not look like there's going to be fun. It looks like I'm just going to be busy. So I've enjoyed that. I was meant to have a meeting with him on Saturday. I said to him, can't you just spend time with your family Easter time so I can spend time with my family and enjoy my me time before we start working? It's Easter. And he was like, okay, cool. If that's what you think, cool. I'll spend time with my family and thank you very much. But he just wanted to do the work. So I said to him, just spend time with your family. It's Easter. And he was like, oh, that's fine. But it does not look like I'm just gonna have fun. And it's just like today I have a meeting with him at 3. So it does not look like, it looks like I'm changing everything. So I'm excited with this adventure, and I'm excited with everything because I'm always changing things around. If things are not working for me, I have to change things. I don't know if you guys, have you ever been in this situation where sometimes the people give you information and you don't use that information, and then later on you go back to it. So that's what I do. If someone gives me information, I never dismiss it. I take it, and then later on when I need it, I do the follow-up and just use it. So, and it's not easy to change things around, because if you are comfortable with the familiar, to actually step into the unknown, it's not easy. So that's why it's important to go easy on yourself, because you're rewriting your story. And if you are unstuck as well, some people they think that you cannot rewrite your story. You can rewrite your story and be the creator of your destiny, because at the end of the day, we are the ones that can shape our own lives by our thoughts. Our thoughts can work against us or they can work with us. So for me, basically, I'm always burning. It was 3 months ago, I burned my actually laptop, that where I began writing my book, my biography on that laptop. I wrote so many things. I stored some photos on that laptop. I've met people using the laptop and so many things that I used. But then I wanted to move on with that chapter, and I burned the laptop. The easy way was for me, because I realized actually this laptop, the information is on iCloud, so I don't need to use this laptop anymore. I can move on with my life. So I burned it. I just went to fire. Laptop went in, and just rewriting my story that I didn't want that chapter anymore. So you can do it. You can rewrite your story. You can create your own reality how you want it. Like Carol Ann is saying, don't make it wrong. Dr. Biget says, find a coach. And Amanda is saying, make small changes. Just do it. Make some small changes and be the person that you want to be. Amanda, any words of encouragement before we leave?
I like what Dr. Biggich said about paradigms don't necessarily, like some of us have really good paradigms too, like those people that go and work out or go for a run or whatever it is. I think that just becoming aware of our paradigms is really important. And once you become aware of them, you can be like, okay, these are the ones that are serving me. These are the ones that are not serving me, and they're causing me to be not productive and not achieve my goals. And so these are the ones that I want to figure out how to shift and replace. And once you do that, then you have, and also I think getting an accountability partner is really important, because when you're accountable to somebody else, you're so much more likely to do what you say you're going to do. And yeah, you'll just never know where you're going to end up, because you'll be blown away by what you can achieve.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you just never know what might show up, and that's absolutely true. And it's recognizing. Just one quote that I'd like to share is, you can't change and be somebody else in the future unless you start becoming a little better at being that future person today. And so it's recognizing what is that paradigm. And it is about, they're recognizing that they're held in place by you identifying yourself as that paradigm. You find yourself on, I am lazy, I am this, or I am that. And that I am statement is very powerful. And I love an affirmation that Bob Proctor gave us, which is an I am statement. And it's, I am so happy and grateful now that, and you finish the sentence. But this one in particular, which was around money, is, I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. It's clear, it's detailed, it's saying exactly what you want, and it's in the present moment. So build your affirmations, say them daily, write them and say them. But it is that I am statement. And that is a way you can shift from what you think, what you were saying I am, to what you can now say I am. And it is about having gratitude as well. So Dr. Bajit, how would you like to leave them with? What would you like to say to encourage people?
Thank you. I love that the I am is very important, and many times we forgot that when we say I am, we basically referring to ourselves. And so what I would say to that is, and Numsa earlier said, I love how you say it. It's kind of make it like an adventure. What I would share say to our audience today of my capping message is, so know that you are powerful, that you are empowered. And sometimes you can say this is uncomfortable, but you could also choose to say, well, let's make this a little bit of an adventure and make this fun, and choose that for it to be empowering, and says that you can say what a lot of things, but you can say it's okay, I'm empowered. And indeed the truth is that there is a power in each and every one of us, in you. There is a wonderful power from life, from source, in every one of us and you. And your passion, your why will lit that power up, will bring it up, bring it to life. And until you learn how to control the fire from your power, then you might want to allow somebody who support you, such that, if you ever seen those wildfire, hear a lot of it in California, they just like going boofs and then they go wild. Versus you could actually have that same kind of power that you already have in you, and you with somebody who know how to direct this, which is something that we all share today, to direct this, make it work for you, make your power, instead of going scatter and cause all over the place, tune in and channel it such that it work for you. It work for you in a way that it will be like the power that push the space shuttle up to the space, which is you and the life that you would really, really love. You got the power, allow the support. Before you know it, you need a telescope to see where you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bighead. For me, basically, is what I said before, is basically know that every story can be written, can be rewritten. If you're unstuck with something, you can rewrite it how you want it. So you don't need to worry about if you are uh, if you are stuck. You don't need to worry about what you're going through. All you need to worry about is how can I move forward and rewrite my own story. And you have coaches here. There's so many coaches, all walks of life at Ngozi Talk Show. So you don't have an excuse to say, I can't do this. We help at Ngozi Talk Shows. We help you find your own voice, lead from within. You lead your own life. And we are here Monday to Friday at Ngozi Talk Shows. If you want to get in touch with our speakers, please do at our page. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless.